Hey, Cheryl Lazar coming to you from South by Southwest on Facebook Live, and this is just an honor. I am right now with Buzz Aldrin himself in flesh and blood right here, of course, of the legendary Apollo 11 mission. And joining him is Jeffrey Kluger, who's the editor-at-large for Time Magazine and Time.com, author of the upcoming book Apollo 8. So, not 11, 8. But you guys just did a keynote together. How did it go?
I thought it did great. I had great material, which means just let Buzz talk.
Yeah. That's why we got to have time now on Facebook to continue the conversation.
Yes.
So what did you guys focus on in the keynote?
She wants to catch up in 3 minutes.
Well,
No. It's a casual conversation, so we'll see where it goes, right? So what did you guys touch on? What was the
just
focus?
briefly, and I'll let Buzz fill in the details. We have a wonderful a virtual reality experience produced by 8i and distributed by Time and Life VR about Buzz's plan for how to colonize Mars, a process he calls orbital cycling pathways to Mars. He's been working on this for 20-some years, and now we have a VR experience that makes clear what his vision is.
With quite increasing intensity and quite increasing productivity.
Okay. So we know we've landed on Mars before, but how do you...
But not with people,
Yeah,
of course.
so, I guess, and this is also very hard because it's complex, I know, but generally, what is the theory of people being able to land on Mars and actually live there? And what's the sustainability to that also?
That's a very good question.
Build remotely a place where you're going to live, things that are going to happen. If you do that, then you can send a crew which will orbit. They will do the final touches to certify that it's right, because they can do that much better than people back at Earth. Hopefully, they will say, yes, good, it's okay.
Okay.
Then they get to land. If it doesn't, or it's not certified, they're going to come back home. Mm-hmm. So there's a little motivation. But if they stay another 6 months, it'll be just the right time that another cycler is going to deposit another 3 landers. One will replace them in orbit, and 2 more. So now we have 3 landers.
So could you actually stay there and live there for, is there a certain amount of time, or you're going to have people that just live their entire lives on Mars in the future?
You know history?
I believe, maybe not every single detail, but yes.
Okay, the Pilgrims on the Mayflower landed at Plymouth Rock.
Okay.
I don't believe I heard of any of them waiting for the return trip.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
So they were there to stay, and at Jamestown, they were there to stay as well. So there are people who have effectively, if not literally, gone places and burned their boats. But what Buzz is envisioning, it's a little bit like what we saw in The Martian, though Buzz got to this idea 20 years before The Martian.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, going to the moon and coming back is much easier. You just have to sort of leave the moon and fall back. That's easy to do. So if you get people there, it's no big deal to bring them back at some time and send some more. Mm-hmm. So the idea of sending people to the moon and they stay there, it's up to them if they don't want to come back, I would say. They could be encouraged, because then we don't have to send so many more. But it doesn't make that much sense, because enough departure from Earth, and then what happens is not a tremendous energy consumer.
Who's going to build
so
these
we
things?
can get the people
is it
there.
Is it going to be privatized? Is it obviously the government is cutting a lot of funding to NASA. Who's going to allow this to happen and be the innovators? Like, who are you seeing?
Europe, Russia, Japan, and China. They have been there. They want to go. We want to help them to go.
And the space station, of course, is an internationally collaborative thing. So basically, just so we're clear, this is a way to build infrastructure and to have sort of a permanently looping spacecraft. So say you're on the surface of Mars and it's time for you to come home. You've been there 6 months. You fly up as this big orbiter comes by. You hitch a ride home. Meantime, aboard the same orbiter is another group of people who are just coming out to do their 6 months or their year. So they're landing, maybe you shake hands, you take off, you come home, and you go round and round like this. So this continuous loop of a sort of commuting spacecraft is there with smaller ships coming up and down and hitching rides back and forth between Mars and Earth.
Ideal.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. Almost.
Oh,
See,
I was
that's
so
what
confident
You're
I got
almost
this right
there.
for
That's
once.
what I
Almost
came
there.
up with, and it all happens in one time. People get on and they get off.
Yeah.
It when they come back, it takes 21 months to come back.
Yeah.
It takes only 5 to get there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a long time to come
all-
back.
yeah.
And it has other characteristics, but it was the first Earth-Mars cycler, and I discovered it.
Yeah.
But it turned out to have some characteristics that could be better. So Purdue had some graduate students, and they had analyzed this quite well, Purdue University. And so they had a graduate student work on something that I thought was brilliant. Instead of doing it in one period, let's try 2 periods. Well, if there's only one way to do it in 1 period, it's not so brilliant to try every other time. And that works reasonably well.
I'm just trying to follow. This is all amazing.
it's a
I'm
little-
like, you're an incredible, brilliant mind, and obviously, like, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and I know it's going to be possible. What year, realistically, will people start doing
question.
this?
Well, we could send a rat now, almost. But that's not to, it doesn't lead you somewhere. It takes a while to be able to do the things that make it more than a stunt, that make it practical, that fits into, if people are going there, what are they going to live in? Somebody has to do that. Are we going to send people expensively to orbit 5 times? That's every 2 years. That's 10 years.
Wow.
So, no, we would like to do that from Earth if we can. There are ways we can do that. Lo and behold, we can practice those at the moon.
Okay.
Now, that, I think, is something significant because in Buzz's vision, the moon also becomes sort of a way station because there are ice deposits on the moon. You can set up essentially mining and habitation colonies on the moon. They can break down ice into rocket fuel, hydrogen and oxygen, to drinking water, to breathable oxygen, which can all be shipped up to spacecraft as they're flying by on their way out to Mars. And the good thing is, at the moment, we're seeing a renewed interest in the moon. Elon Musk is talking about getting people out to the moon on a circumlunar flight as early as next year. Elon tends to overpromise on dates, but even if you add a year or two, that's still pretty exciting. NASA is talking about sending people circumlunar as early as a year or two from now, and even Jeff Bezos is now talking about it. So the moon has suddenly become the it world as it was in the 1960s. Now, in the 1960s, the goal was, it was the model Buzz calls flags and footprints. Get there, plant some flags, leave some footprints, and come home. Here we would be going to the moon with an eye towards making it a first big step. to
Now,
deeper exploration.
there's a problem.
What?
We need the American people behind us.
This brings up a great point
And-
now.
We've been there 50 years ago. Why would we want to go and do that again? So with all the frills, is that what my money is going to go toward? See, I don't think the American people would be too enthused about that.
Why is that? Why have we come to a place where people aren't enthusiastic about space and exploration anymore?
Well, somehow, grandfather said we did that, but we didn't do it again. But why are we spending the money to do that again? Well, things have changed a little bit, and Europe, Russia, Japan, China, they don't know as much as we do. At least we think so. We're asking them all the time.
So
Tell us
if we know so much,
They
why are we
don't have
limiting
the,
ourselves?
They don't have the finances to do that just to the moon.
Yeah, so why?
We can help them do that by
yeah.
designing. Everyone agrees with it. Maybe we build the first one. We know how to supervise the building.
Yeah.
That's where the money, that costs money when you build something. So we supervise their building them, each one in turn. They build them, they land them, or they get somebody else to land them and pay them for living. There's some new people coming along in India and South Korea. We'd like them to join the party. Tell you what, we'll train your astronauts, but you pay us so much as we'll train your astronauts, okay? That's a good deal. So we'll help them join the party. And we are learning to assemble things, to refuel things that somebody else built, we put together, we can, and we'll build one lander, say, because the lander at the moon is going to be like the lander at Mars. Not normally. There's different things. There's an atmosphere. But you can, play little things and make them very
Modified
much
for two worlds.
the same.
That still brings up a thing that I feel like I'm very sad about. We'll be part of the education of our international world around space and creating these things and exploration. But does it bother you that the United States isn't as involved anymore, or is there a lack of interest in space and exploration? And how do we get that back?
I remember going around toy stores, okay, seeing shuttle models. You could put them together. In a year or two, there will be toys that are a cycler, spacecraft, that will evolve. Hopefully, we'll guess pretty good at the first, but there'll be several. They'll get better. They'll go to an asteroid. They'll, of course, go to the moon and back. And they go fly by Venus. Men are from Mars. Women are from Venus.
I've heard that.
You want to do that? You want to go to? Hey, I've already picked out some of the coaches.
Can you bring me? Why don't we'll change the story so we could say.
Okay, so by the time we build one or two that are going to go to Mars, we've made improvements. Now, each one, we plug in things.
Yeah.
And things arrive and things depart.
So they become
this
modular
is a great
and expandable.
thing to build and put together.
One other
the
part
kids
of your
know
question.
it, the parents know it. Sooner or later, the congressman will know it.
We hope. I
Yeah.
hope.
We hope. And the
Good
other
hope.
part of your question is, why are we doing this? How does it feel if America isn't taking the lead any longer? There is something about space that is transnational, that's trans-ethnic, that's trans-religion. When we saw Buzz and Neil on the surface of the moon in 1969, the celebration, the embrace, the uplift was multinational, was global, because this was, yes, they wore stars and stripes, and yes, Buzz saluted the American flag, but this was not an American. This was an emissary of the human species on Mars.
Same thing when the
on
Mars
moon.
rover landed.
Well, exactly.
Remember that moment? I remember I was watching the live stream.
And in the case of a
well,
rover,
it's not the same. It's not the same.
but the thing is, it's a machine, and we celebrate a machine that was built in Pasadena, California, and it went from here to there and landed on the moon, on Mars.
But
and
my generation will never experience what the generation who watched you has experienced.
But your generation is experiencing it by smaller proxy with the Curiosity rover, and your generation, I promise you, even if it's a Chinese astronaut who sets foot on the moon in 5 years, you will celebrate that, because that will be somebody with human DNA.
I don't think that's the way it's going to.
I want to hear from you, Buzz. You have the last word.
He's got the science. I just got all the squishy, dreamy stuff.
Words, many
Words,
words.
many.
Right. There's a plaque that was on the lander that we landed on. It said, "We came in peace for all mankind." That was sort of the symbolism. When we came back, we went around the world and visited 25 different countries, parades. What was the most impressive sign that we saw in the crowds? We did it. Not you did it. We did it. They felt like they were a part of this. You wouldn't think that they would react that way, but it is mankind, and we happen to be a group, a colony, a tribe, and we're going to try and gather together the more talented tribes, and we'll get to do something, and we'll help them. They couldn't do it by themselves, and if they redesign and if they build and land something on the moon, who's the most logical person to do the same thing at Mars? That same country, that's their job, if they are willing to take it. And we need that. But we're sort of we're going to be the transportation cycle, and the landers that are reusable, that makes it so much more economical. You won't believe it. If you try and send people and then bring back what landed and then send it back again, that's the expensive way to do things.
Do you think,
if you got fuel there, especially.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that it starts getting territorial, like some countries say, we own this part? Are we going to just recreate what we have here on Earth?
Never underestimate the ability of human beings to muck things up.
Yeah. Who's going to own this?
Well, there's a treaty that says no nation can declare ownership of outer space. I'll tell you what is going to happen. The lawyers are going to get together and they're going to figure it out.
We hope.
Yeah,
you trust,
we hope.
Buzz, you trust lawyers?
You trust the lawyers,
Well, we'll send them there and let them figure it out.
Send them there and tell them they get to come home when they've reached a solution.
What, I guess, where do you, you're working on this theory and idea and actualizing it in your lifetime.
Yeah. And it's called an architecture. It's like you go to an architect to design a building, a house, and somebody comes in and builds. But you got to know, before you start pounding nails and putting 2x4s together, you got to know what it is you need in space. To do something, you need a destination. You need agreement. You need a time. I'd like to get this done by.
So by what? right now?
Now,
10
Kennedy
years?
said
20?
the moon, a decade. Now, the third thing you need is a plan. That's the most important. We really didn't have a plan of exactly how to get to the moon. But fortunately, it worked out. There was enough flexibility. It was not declared this. And there was a and we chose the best plan. And it's still the best plan, given those inputs.
What do you think of
Now there is a better plan than
What?
doing that sort of thing at Mars.
Okay.
And I think it's a cycling. It's
What-
more complex
Can I
than
ask
that.
you, what do you think about people like Elon Musk who are innovating this space right now?
Well, I would say he's setting an objective. It may not be all that practical, but it's a challenge. Not maybe he couldn't ever do it by himself, but he thinks he could. But he said that before. He loves government money. He really does.
He's gotten a lot of it.
Yeah, and he's gotten quite a bit of it. He's not going to use his money to go there.
So where's the money?
He's got a big plan, but
Okay.
somebody else has got the money, and they're going to have something to say about what the plan is also.
I guess leaving, I mean, we're about to wrap this up, but what do you want to leave our audience with? What message do you have, both of you, in terms of the future of space travel exploration? What should they know, people watching, young and old?
I think the best minds we can bring together should look at the alternatives and make a judgment of the resources that we have. And I feel to start out with, we need to look at what we are spending money on now. Are these things really essential? Where can we begin to save some money to be able to afford?
Did VP Mike Pence say anything when you met him? Did he say, "Oh, we're going to put
Aside
aside
from the
money"?
fact that he loved your Stars and Stripes socks.
Well,
There you
see,
oh, look at those socks.
it
Those
says
are great.
Tuesday. It tells me what day today.
I love it. I need some of those. So what did he say? Did he say they're going to work on it? Do you believe?
No, he's not in a position to be able to do that. He has a number of things that he's doing. But he took note of some suggestions and some offers of assistance. And it was a very friendly, very satisfying. I felt very good
Good.
at the end of the meeting, and I hope he did too.
Good. I hope he did. He should be honored to be meeting you. What do you want to leave? our
I would
viewers
just
with
like
today?
to leave with the idea that there are almost uncountable practical technological reasons we want to go to Mars and become a multi-planet species. It's a way for us to develop technology. It's a way for us to develop monetizable and exploitable technology. It's a way for us to have an entire second planet as an insurance policy, a place that we can go if there are critical, perhaps culturally or extinction level threats on Earth. But we also do it for that reason I was alluding to before. It is the spiritual uplift. It's the cultural and species level uplift. We go to Mars for the same reason we watch ballets and write symphonies and build great skyscrapers, because those are the reasons we love being alive. Let's not minimize that emotional and spiritual element.
There's a word. We inspire the world by inspiring our people that we are doing this. Not that they'll be jealous, envious, because we're helping them do what they can't do by themselves.
Well, that is a great way to end this. I want to also remind people that they could buy your recent book, No Dream is Too High. to follow your story and insights and, to be inspired. And of course, your book coming out, Apollo 8.
Already available for pre-sale.
There you go. Thank you so much, Jeffrey Kluger and the one and only Buzz Aldrin. So much more to talk about, but our time is up right now. We'll follow
Okay.
up. We'll have a follow up.
Yeah.
All right.
Tomorrow night?
Yes, let's do it.
No, I'm going home.
Don't worry.
I'm going home.
Thank you so much for watching, and definitely share this with your friends. Keep on spreading the word on space and exploration, and stay curious. I think that's the point. And we'll see you with more on Facebook Live from South by Southwest soon. Thank you.